My name's Faisal Sami, CEO of Chicago Telerad. And we decided to do these sessions because there's a lot of teleradiologists out there that we talk to on a daily, weekly, monthly basis that have a lot of questions about teleradiology. And we do a lot of Zoom sessions every month. So we decided to do this so that it's just kind of more open and people can kind of get to see who we are and what we do and whatnot. So we'll start by just having some introductions. Rhonda, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Sure. My name is Rhonda Clark, and I'm the Chief Operating Officer here at Chicago Telerad. Handle pretty much everything at the office, oversee all these guys, ladies, and a lot of operation stuff. Yeah. And then I'll hand it off to my other operations person, which is Jennifer Carberry, also known as JJ, Jen Jr.
Yeah, hi, I'm Jennifer Carberry, aka Jen Jr., aka JJ. I'm the lead logistics administrator, and like Rhonda said, I help her out with everything with operations. I do a lot with scheduling and coordinating IT and just communicating with lots of people that we work with. So, yeah.
Awesome. Great.
My name is Jennifer Vakash, and I'm the other Jen. That's why we have Jen Jr. and Jen Senior. So I am Jen Senior. Let you figure out why. I am the Senior Administrative Coordinator here. And what that means is I work closely with the licensing credentialing team, which is amazing. And I also handle several administrative duties and work closely with Rhonda and Dr. Sammy.
Awesome. Great.
And then my name is Heidi Pacheco, and I am one of the senior credentialing coordinators. I deal with helping our doctors get credentialed at sites and make sure that things are running smoothly behind the scenes when it comes to credentialing.
Great. Awesome.
And then I am Amanda Painter. I am a senior credentialing coordinator as well, and I take care of all things credentialing to get our RADs reading.
And then we have some other team members who work off-site who are not here at the office with us. We have a more credentialing staff of 6 other individuals. So they also are behind the scenes making everything run nice and smoothly here for us.
Yeah. Yeah, we do a lot of stuff behind the scenes. So we decided let's open this up. Like you guys can come meet us, get to know who we are, and we can have like an open conversation about basically anything teleradiology, but primarily the 2 things I want to share with is one is we're open to collaborations with independent teleradiologists. We've done a few with some teleradiologists and they've worked pretty well. And then second is our open teleradiology positions, and we have a fair number of them. And so we want to like kind of go through those and see what questions people have. But largely this is, mostly for to answer questions and to get an idea of what kind of things are on your mind and see how we can help. So see a few more people joined us. Somebody left, but yeah, so let's start with any questions you guys may have. Let's start there and then we can kind of go on to, other topics as we need to. So go ahead, open the floor.
So this is Daisha Hayden. Can I start?
Yeah, please go ahead, Daisha. Yeah.
Okay. So I actually do teleradiology in progress, and also work on site. I do breast imaging, and so I'm trying to figure out. I was looking at your video where you were saying basically to have people that do like the reporting and basically like a scribe, and I'm just trying to figure out how do you get into that and how do you integrate that when you're working like in a hospital system.
Yeah, that's a great question. So we work in a lot of different hospital systems around the country. And, our scribes, what we first have them do is sign a HIPAA agreement. So, they're a business associate agreement, HIPAA compliant, all that kind of stuff. The second thing is, basically we just use Zoom software to remote in to a workstation so that somebody can, a scribe can open the case, look at the images, get the contrast dose, radiation dose, make sure all the recons are there, and then present the case to you, right? So it's kind of like having a resident there, but they're not doing any interpretation. They're literally just listening to what you're saying. So all you have to do now is scroll, zoom, and pan, and you just give them your interpretation, like your positive findings only. So if it's a CT brain on an 82-year-old, you just say, okay, there's no acute bleed or infarct, moderate atrophy, left side mastocytitis, mild left side mastocytitis, right? They take that information and use your macros and create the report. So
how do you get that approved, like through the hospitals? Because they would need access to a lot of stuff, right? When they need access to PACS or?
No, they don't have like separate logins or anything. They're just logging in via either 2 remote sessions, either a Zoom session, or we use another software called Splashtop. And so they're just working directly under your supervision, right? They're not going through a hospital system. So,
but then they would have to be able to put the report like in PowerScribe or something, right?
Yeah, they're able to do all that. Yeah.
So wouldn't they have to log in under you to put it into PowerScribe?
Well, it's your workstation sitting at your house or wherever you're at.
Oh, so okay.
They remote into your workstation, so you have control at all times.
Oh, they remote in. Okay, I understand what you're saying now.
They're working real time with you under your direct supervision. So like you're watching their screen and what they're doing, right? But that brings in the concept of, we don't just work off of one workstation, right? Because that's how you get the efficiency. So the way I designed this was, 7 years ago, I literally wrote this out on the back of a napkin when I was having lunch with a hospital colleague, a radiologist. And I said, like, what if I designed a system where I have 6 workstations and 6 screens, and we had 6 scribes working. And at that time, they were in person. We have an office in Roselle, which is a Chicagoland suburb. And I said, what if they're working together? And all I'm doing is looking at my cases, giving them the positive findings, and they're taking the time to create the report, because a lot of your time is actually wasted on report creation time, right? Like, just think about how much time you waste in choosing the case, looking at the contrast dose, getting this, getting that, you're hunting for a lot of stuff that you just don't need to hunt for. Like, what you want to do is you want to have your eyes on the images, scroll through, zoom and pan, give the scribe your positive findings, let them plug in everything else behind you. So you're not dictating, the gallbladder is 3.0 millimeters, period, paragraph. Like, I mean, that is extremely tiring. And we've shown this over multiple years and multiple radiologists that when you take out all the clerical work of radiology suddenly becomes fun again. Like, it's a tremendous amount of fun. You're working in a virtual team environment. The scribes are actually looking out for your best interest. Like, they're looking at, hey, what's on the list? Is there a CT brain? Is there a code stroke? Is somebody calling for a case? Like, you do a lot of work as a radiologist and teleradiologist that has nothing to do with radiology. It's a lot of clerical work, right? So you offload that to somebody virtually who does that for you. And now you're suddenly free to just keep your eyes on the patient's images. Your quality goes up. You have another human, we call it human intelligence. Somebody else is actually looking at your report for normative errors, left versus right, voice recognition errors, those sorts of things. So your quality starts going way up. The scribes that are working with you, they serve as motivators actually for me. They're like, Doc, we just got to go, read these 2 more stat cases before we go on break. I just have this one ultrasound. Could you approve this? Could you just take a look at this? It's like, it becomes fun again, right? So
logistically, do you okay with Scribe A, do you go through 10 cases really fast, or do you do one with Scribe A and then go to Scribe B and do one case, so that while that person is doing the report, you're actually you've moved on to somebody else? You don't like stack a bunch of them with one person.
You do one at a time. Yeah. So it's parallel processing on 6 workstations or 4 workstations, right? Depending on your level of expertise. We start radiologists with 2 workstations usually, and then they graduate up to 6 workstations. So we've done all the metrics, like a minimum you need is 2 workstations, 2 scribes to really start to see efficiencies. And then on an upper level, maybe 6 workstations, 6 scribes, where you're maxing out your efficiency. But you're right, 1 case, each workstation, that scribe is doing nothing else but focusing on that case. Once you've done your image analysis, you move into the next case. Now that scribe is doing nothing else except working on that 1 case, right? Now, what about plain film? So plain films is, a little bit of an exception, because a scribe can show you 3 plain films tabbed across your one-on-one screen, and they could be all 3 negative chest x-rays, or 2 negative knees and a negative chest, or something simple. So for plain films, we'll let them do, depending on the scribe's level of expertise, and just their, nuances and learning the system and all that. We'll let them do maybe 2 or 3. Some of the really good scribes I've worked with can do 5, right? Especially if they're negative. Like we work with one of our teleradiology partners would send us a lot of plain film work, and rads typically who are doing that are pretty fast anyway. But with scribes, it's like you can 5x, 10x your reading capacity, and you're actually spending more time on the patient's images than you ever did before. So your quality starts going up. And we look at big screens. So I use 55-inch screens, and we just make everything big, one-on-one, because I don't need to see the work list anymore. Like the scribe can manage that. They just show me cases. And then once I've done 6 cases serially, all my reports are coming up, and now I can just say, okay, that one's good, that one's good. We have a whole system that describes this. Like we make sure that every scribe puts the report in the right place. We have a whole program and a protocol where we train them to do this, to get that level of efficiency.
So one other thing that I just want to add too about using all the scribes is they're really your quality control as well. You're forgetting a prior. They're going to remind you, guess what, doc, there's a prior from this date, remember? And here it said that there was this abscess formation. You didn't mention anything. Is that abscess formation still there? Is it clear? That type of thing. So it really cuts down on the amount of addendums that you end up having to do, because they're catching things when you might be really busy going through stuff. So it works really great in that aspect as well. And then also another benefit is when say you're not in the hospital and you're working remote from home, and you've got those code strokes that you got to call in, the appendicitis, the pulmonary embolisms, the scribe is handling that. You're not wasting your time sitting on the phone, having the nurse get the ER doc. They're doing it. And as soon as the doc comes on, they're going to say, hey, like for Dr. Sami, I've got, Dr. So-and-so for patient, blah, 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 done. And he's not wasting any time on hold, frustrated.
They'll make the addendum, get the name of the doc, discussed with at so-and-so time, blah, 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 out, right?
Yeah.
So have you done this method with mammal?
Yes. Yeah, it works really well with mammal, with telemammography. We've done telemammography for years. And, you just go down, we have a training program for every scribe. So when we do mammal, we train them on the BI-RADS and how that works and whatnot. It's very simple, actually. You can actually go through multiple screeners, pretty quickly, just looking at the images. And that allows me to really zoom in and really look at all the parenchyma, look at all the calcifications and whatnot, and take my time doing the analysis. And then, I can say, dystrophic calcifications, the upper quadrant right breast, BI-RADS 2. And then I give them the density and all that kind of stuff. So they know all the BI-RADS language, and I don't have to dictate anything. Like I could just give them the findings. They know where to put everything.
Yeah, like they're completely trained by BI-RADS, TI-RADS, Fleischner criteria. Like, they're trained to already pre-populate your ultrasounds. If the tech sheet's missing, they know how to scroll through the images. We literally teach them everything, how to find the measurements. They're trained to know, the thickness of the gallbladder wall. If it's above, 3 millimeters, they're gonna know, oh, I've got a positive here, and they'll alert the doctor like right away. Oh, I got a positive here. Or, it's a kid with a right lower quadrant ultrasound, and ultrasound showing positive for acute appendicitis. They're gonna alert you right away, because if you're reading a bunch of plain films, you'll want to know that you've got a positive here, and they'll let you know. And it's super cool, and it's fun, because these are scribes typically are med school graduates. They are foreign med graduates, international graduates. They're doctors in their country. They've taken their STEP exams. They're applying for residency, and they want to keep up their U.S. clinical experience. So they're striving to do the best and be the best and learn the best. So they show up to work. They don't cancel. They don't call in. This isn't a regular job. This is their medical career. So really, really smart, intelligent people. So it's really fun. So you can have a really intelligent conversation with them as you're doing your work. So it's great.
Yeah. Yeah, like our source of scribes are actually fourth-year medical students, radiologists from international programs that have graduated. Like they're very, very interested in learning this material. They're either applying for radiology residency or some other residency, but they want to have radiology as part of that. So we have an externship program that's 4 weeks in length where med schools and individual medical students and radiologists from other countries, they actually pay us to rotate with us and learn teleradiology and the scribing program. We get them right on our scribing software, which is PowerScribe, right? They learn macros, they do all that. So by the time they're done, they're actually completely ready to work, and they want to work. Many of them do want to work as scribes. So we have that pipeline of scribes built out.
Yeah, interestingly enough, we had a practicing head and neck surgeon and she was, not from the United States, and she came to us and then she worked as a scribe and she changed her mind about what she wanted to apply for residency here. And now she's doing radiology because she liked it so much better. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's pretty
Yeah.
cool.
Does that answer your question, Daisha? Is that
Yes, thank you.
okay? Good.
Still lots more detail. You can pick our brains at any time that you want about it.
Anyone else have any other questions? Love hearing questions. Yeah, please go ahead.
I have one question about the scribers. So they read for you remotely over the country. It's not necessarily to stay in your place, right? For
Yeah, it's
instance,
virtual. It's completely virtual. Nobody's in your room or in your office or anything like that. They could be, in the next state over. They could be in Canada. They could be halfway around the world, right? So we get scribes from everywhere.
so they have their own station, and for instance, I have my own station as well, right? So they look at the images in their own station, and I look at the images in my station,
No.
right?
No, they're only looking at images on your workstation. They work
They're
under your
remoting
direct
in.
supervision.
I see.
Mhm.
Okay. And just estimate about the efficiency. For instance, I can read 150 cases in 8 hours.
Mhm.
If I use script, how much I increase my efficiency? Can I read 300, 400 cases?
Yes, we've had radiologists who've increased 50 cases, 100 cases, 150 cases. So productivity gains of 25%, 50%, 100%. We've been doing this for many years. This is not new for us. We've been doing this for 7 years across multiple radiologists, over hundreds of thousands of cases. And we can show you every scenario where you can gain productivity gains and how to make your life much more easier as a teleradiologist, right? So I mean, the productivity translates obviously to income, right? But really a byproduct of that is increasing quality. And that's what we really want to emphasize is you want to increase the quality of your reports. And the only way you can do that is if you keep your eyes on the patient's images for longer. Like you're not dashing between report and images or images and report. Like a lot of this images and report reduces your quality because you lose your train of thought. God forbid you get a phone call or an interruption. Now you've lost where you are in your images and in your report. But if you can just look at your images and just talk the case down all the way, positive findings and incidental findings, then the scribe is recording everything you're saying and creating your report from your macros in the background. So then when you go to the next workstation, they're working on the report and so on and so forth. So by the time you've done, 4 workstations or 6 workstations, your reports are all popping up and they're ready for you to look at side by side, images and reports.
I think one of the other things too that we see a lot in the beginning is, radiologists, you guys know because you're all the radiologists, the stress over the work list, right? So it's like constant, like, oh God, what's on the list? Is it getting backed up? Is it, that's totally removed because the scribe now handles the work list. They're alerting you, like what Dr. Sami said earlier, I got a cold stroke, or whatever. So you no longer have the stress of the work list because they're managing it and you become much more effective and efficient.
Yeah. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Anybody else have a question?
Yes.
Yeah, please go ahead, Bhaskar.
Yeah, this is
Yes.
Bhaskar. Yeah.
Yes.
How does it work with nuclear medicine? Do you guys do nuclear medicine at all, or like PET CTs? Is it the same
Yeah.
procedure?
We have a radiologist, a nuclear medicine physician doing PET CTs. Are you asking how does it work with scribes and PET CTs? Is that what you're asking?
Yes, yes, because
Mhm.
I mean, PET CTs are kind of long reports, especially if there are priors comparing, prior imaging and stuff like that. They can be big reports, right? So, does it work the same?
It works the same because they're going to record everything you say as you go through your image analysis, right? From your CT scan to all the nuclear medicine images, right? So works exactly the same. You probably have macros for your PET CT reports.
Yes.
So when you dictate your positive findings, they're going to use your macros to create that report and put that in and then show it to you at the end, right? So it works exactly the same.
Okay. Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if you're a rad who just does nuclear medicine and the PET CTs, your scribes are very adaptable, and those reports that you're making are going to become second nature to them because, just the repetitiveness of doing it over and over again, they're really going to learn, and you'll be surprised the amount of stuff that they're able to actually spot and pick out as well, just from learning from you, from doing the reports.
Yeah, absolutely. Are all of you guys teleradiologists, or are you guys working in the hospital? How many people are teleradiologists?
I'm both.
You're both? Okay. And MZ, I don't know what your full name is, but I just see MZ. What's your?
I'm here. I'm interventional radiologist and diagnostic. I do both IR and I do diagnostic. Actually, I'm working in private practice now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you looking to do part-time work? Are you looking to
Oh yeah, I think I send you my CV, and we're supposed to have meeting with you. I'm interested to do some weekend and some evening shifts.
Oh, awesome.
Okay.
What is your full name?
Last name Zahra and first name Mahmoud Mahmoud.
I'm just pulling up your CV.
Let's pull that up. Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay, great. We'll definitely meet with you offline and discuss options and things that we have. Yeah.
Yeah, Faisal, I do both teleradiology and on-site, and
Awesome.
I'm kind of interested in the evening and weekend work too.
Yeah, awesome. Kevin, so you're doing how much of the work that you're doing is on-site right now as a percentage?
I'd say 70%.
Okay. Are you looking to move that more toward reverse, like 70-30 telerad as opposed to on-site?
No, I think my on-site will probably stay the same. I just have a lot of hours in the evenings and weekends that I'm currently doing nothing. So, or I'm doing some telerads, but would like to do a little bit more. I had reached out to you all, but I think, one of my issues is that, I can't do 4-hour shifts just because, I work a full day and sometimes it's difficult to put another 4 hours in, after that. So I was looking for a little bit shorter shifts, which may not be conducive to your schedule.
Yeah, we can definitely talk to you about that individually. Do you guys have Kevin's information?
Kevin, what is your last name?
It's Kadakia.
Can you?
Yeah, it's Kadakia.
Awesome. I'll put my email address in this Zoom chat, and anybody who wants to can, send me their contact information, their CV.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you may already have mine. And the other thing I was going to ask you about, Faisal, is I actually have a team of scribes in India, and I wanted to know, if there's any kind of partnership, or if you guys are looking for more scribes. I'd love to connect with you offline.
Yeah, let's talk. We're always open to partnerships and collaborations with independent teleradiologists. Like, I mean, I worked teleradiology for years, just kind of a cog in a wheel. with some of the big box companies, and there's very limited people I could talk to. Like, I mean, you go to conferences, you meet people, and you talk to a few friends. But other than that, you're basically in a silo. So what we want to do with this, and my vision for Chicago Telerad, is this is a place where independent teleradiologists can gather and talk to each other, form collaborations, partnerships, like hospital contracts, imaging center contracts, working with scribes. Like, we have a complete training program for scribes, and let's definitely talk about that offline, and we can talk to you separately about how we could do a partnership, because our appetite for scribes is growing, because a lot of radiologists that work for us want to work with scribes and want to gain those productivity gains of 25%, 50% and more. So let's definitely talk. Let's have a separate meeting about that offline. Yeah.
Sounds good.
Awesome. Anyone else? Questions?
Yeah, I mean, I work for
Somebody's dictating. If you could just mute while you're dictating. It might be Frank's iPhone thing. Go ahead, Oscar.
Yeah, I work for a university hospital right now, but I want to start doing teleradiology starting July 1st. And I think I've already sent you my CV.
I'm pulling it up right now.
Do you do general radiology too, or only PET?
Yes. So I do all the general nuclear medicine, and I can do ACI, like acute care imaging.
Well, like, can you read like a CTA head and neck and a CT chest abpel?
Not the neuro, but I can read CT chest, CTA chest, CT pulmonary, abdomen and pelvis. Yes.
Yeah. So the challenge for you is going to be, like, once you have a limited skill set, especially for evenings, weekends, and holidays, right? Which is where most teleradiology need is. It's like your marketability, your ability to earn an income as a teleradiologist goes down, because increasingly their CTA head and necks and CTA perfusion studies are becoming a much more regular part of the imaging spectrum at night. So you got to have that skill set to be able to cover, because otherwise we have to pull somebody else to cover. So that's a real challenge if you can't read the full spectrum of radiology studies. I talk to a fair number of radiologists every month, and it's shocking to me how many rads let go of their skills, like the basic skills, and then they can't read this and they can't read that. And I think that's a real challenge. So like, unless you can read CTA head and neck and perfusion, like, they're not that common, but you're going to have to know how to read them. Even at community level hospitals, those are becoming much more common studies, especially where they have a lot of NPs and PAs. Like, as you guys all know, like, NPs and PAs are just ordering up storms of studies. So so that's a challenge. So that may not be the answer you were hoping for.
Yeah, neuro is kind of I didn't read neuro in a long time, but I can read all the other emergency stuff.
Yeah, that's going to be really difficult in teleradiology.
Okay.
Yeah, like, most rads are going to have to be able to read almost every kind of study. So
okay.
So
what about cardiac coronary angio CTA? Is it required to read those?
No, you don't need to read those. Yeah. So
actually, I do everything. I do MSK, body MR, neuro, except cardiac. So if cardiac required, because frankly talking, I'm planning to later on to give up my IR work and become a radiologist, only diagnostic radiologist. So
yeah, there's no cardiac studies we do at night or even in the day. None of our daytime people are really doing that much at all, actually. So no, the answer is no on cardiac. We don't need it.
Okay, perfect. It's not a big deal for cardiac. I can do course and it's not.
Don't need it. Don't bother. Don't waste your time. Yeah. Anyone else? Questions? I see Frank and Charles at Manford. I don't know if you guys have any questions for us.
Hey, sorry I was on mute before.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah.
Okay, happens to all of us.
Yeah, just listening in.
Yeah.
No particular questions at this point.
Okay.
Yeah,
Are you interested in doing teleradiology? And then somebody
was that from?
waving. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Frank.
Sorry, I didn't hear what you said.
Oh, I was just wondering, are you interested in doing teleradiology? Or are you doing it right now?
Yeah, I'm doing teleradiology. That's all I do.
Oh, awesome. Awesome. Cool. And then somebody's waving. Mayuk, go ahead. Unmute yourself. And
Hey,
Hmm.
nice to meet you.
Hey.
Watch videos and stuff. And
awesome.
so I worked for a big box kind of place for a while, and then I recently switched to another kind of telerad type of place. And so I'm now embracing kind of doing some hybrid stuff, including the place I work for now allows me to work on the side. So one of those things that I found on the side was an imaging center that my wife is actually a clinician at. And so they approached me and said, hey, how about you work with me and try to see if we can give you direct work here. And then you cut out the middleman of the other people we're using. And I looked at their rates. I was like, well, how do I have a company, a friend who's got a Telerad company. We try to go in together, but he needs to make his cut. And so because of that, there just wasn't enough meat on the bone to make it work for him and me. And that was okay. But then it kind of segues really well into what you're saying. So I'm kind of curious, and I apologize, I missed the beginning of the meeting, but I wasn't sure if you had, it sounds like you have some sort of capacity to, granted it's not a hospital, but it's like an imaging center, probably makes about two,
somebody, is that MZ, your microphone's on? If you could just mute. I think it's MZ. Oh. Okay, go ahead, Mayuk. Let's see.
Oh, so maybe no worries. So I thought maybe I could, I could send you my email. This is ultimately where this is probably this what my little speech here is segueing into is I'll send you an email and see if that's something where it sounds like you have maybe a more robust system to partner up with something like that, even if it's just one contract. It's probably worth about 200,000 a year or something like that in professional.
Yeah. No, that's all cool stuff. Like, so what we decided, like you can become a teleradiology company, and you put a lot of capital, time, effort, people and whatnot, and then your requirement for margin starts to go up when you start doing that kind of thing, right? So all these big box companies that are out there, they're not able to turn on a dime or collaborate. We're still small enough. We're getting bigger, but we're still small enough that, and I just have a personal interest in collaborating with independent teleradiologists. So we'll talk about this offline, but what we'll do is, like, we have an infrastructure built out. Like, I've got people in licensing, credentialing, technology. There's a lot of resources we can pull to. So we could talk together mutually, and we can see how we could do a partnership where, we have kind of like a management fee, so to speak, but it doesn't like bite so deep into you that, that it's not worth while for you to do. Right. So we're exploring that. Like, we're licensing some of our technologies, like our processes, like with the scribes and that sort of stuff. So that's going to allow us to reach out much more wider and deeper into working with teleradiologists who are independent, who may come across, and we have this conversation many, many times every month. I talk to rads and I'm like, hey, I got this imaging center contract. I can't take advantage of it because I need 3 rads and I'm only 1, right? Or I get this hospital and they want me to cover all the evening shifts throughout the year, but I'm just 1 guy or 1 gal. And if I had 2 more people, we could do that. So I have close to 600 people on 600 radiologists on my email list. And I get a ton of emails. I get a ton of inbox messages on LinkedIn and whatnot, people looking at opportunities and whatnot. So let's definitely talk and see what's there. And, let's see what can work out, because we're definitely interested and open to doing that.
Yeah, because I'm willing to, as I'm sure everybody says that the rate limiting step is, in addition to having the manpower, is even right now, I couldn't even do my share of those cases because of, until the time where it comes where, the scribe thing is explosive. I get it. That's a 10x type of thing. And I think it'll end up being such that maybe in a few years with AI and scribes that your model is great. The lead radiologist, then you got the spoke wheels of several people, and then you're doing you're moving much more merchandise, so to speak, in that way, without having to do the minutia of dictating and stuff. So if it becomes just an image interpretation thing, the other stuff is kind of lower on the license type of work that I think can be dispensed with, or they're, you know, kind of shared and stuff. So
Yeah, absolutely. Like I use the family practice analogy, right? Like when you go to a family practitioner, like I think the old model is they'd have one exam room and they'd see one patient at a time, like an hour at a time, right? But now you go to like a family practice office and they may have 15 rooms and they got nurses and PAs, you know, prepping all the patients. They're getting a history, physical, vitals, whatnot. And you may have one family practice doc and all they do is they go room to room to room for their portion of the patient interaction. Like, okay, hey, Miss Jones, like, you know, your hypertension's a little out of control when you do this, you know, your blood sugar's high when you do this. Like they're doing their physical exam if they're doing that at all. And they're just doing their part and they're not even writing the notes anymore. They've got a scribe. Like, I mean, scribes are not new in medicine. They're just new in teleradiology. But like you go to an ER doctor, I mean, there's somebody typing everything out. Like you go to a you know, regular doctor visit, somebody's typing it all out. So it's becoming more and more common. But in teleradiology, especially like with the crushing volumes that we got going on, I mean, we're going to have to figure this thing out because like the dollars are not increasing. The volumes are only increasing. The acuity is increasing because people are getting older. Like, unless we can get rid of all the junk work that we do every day, we're going to get crushed and people are getting crushed. People are like getting burnt out. And so my two main goals are radiologist efficiency and preventing burnout. So we don't have so many radiologists leaving the workforce. Because I talk to a lot of radiologists every month that are just like on the edge of like, man, I'm going to hang up this radiology thing. This is just not for me. I don't need this much money. I'm going to, you know, pare back my hours. I'm done with evenings and weekends. And like, I hear a lot of that. And it's sad because like, this is at a time when we're going to need more radiologists. Like, you know, when all of us get sick and we're in that hospital bed and there's a millennial physician who's standing over our bed, and this is not a dig at millennials, but I have my opinions on that, but they, you know, it's like, if they're only there very part-time and they're disconnected from the care, like a lot of radiologists I talk to are talking like they only want to work 15 weeks out of the year and that's enough for them. We're gonna be in trouble. I mean, it's like there is so much volume coming at us now and people are just throwing up their hands. So like, unless we do something, it's not getting better. And we have to solve radiologist burnout, which I think the Scribe solution does. And then the second thing, and I'll stop talking for a second. The second thing is I want to increase collaborations amongst independent teleradiologists. Like we don't do enough to take advantage of the opportunities that are all around us, right? Because there's just no avenue. Like you don't necessarily have to start your own company to be an entrepreneurial teleradiologist. And so that's my message to everybody, is that there are things that you can do, you know, when you partner with somebody who's interested in doing it with you. If you go to a big box company and tell them, hey, I want to partner with you, they're just, you know, they're not interested, right? So, but yeah, that's my vision. Awesome. Anybody else have a question? Anyone have comments or anything? I've talked a lot. We've talked.
Is your guys' platform like, I heard VRAD has an exceptional interface, like as far as dictation system, and it's really well regarded, has high scores.
Yeah.
Do you have implemented, some of your efficiencies come from your system as well?
That's a great question. So we actually don't even have our own system. Right. So the whole idea is, and that creates a lot of advantages for us, by the way. We're completely PACS and risk agnostic. Like we work in the client system, whatever that is, right? And so that conveys a huge advantage immediately, because immediately clients like, well, that's great. You can just log in remotely and you'll learn our software and you'll just be like one of us. I'm like, absolutely, we'll do that. Or they send us a workstation. But the thing that I just need as a teleradiologist is I just need my right-click tools, so scroll, zoom, and pan, house wheel units, measuring tool, basic stuff, right? Like I don't even do any of the PACS training. I haven't done PACS training in years. I just have my scribes do it. They know how to do the hanging protocols. They know how to do all that. I can quickly learn in 15 minutes what the basic tools are, because they're all pretty similar amongst all the different PACS. And all I'm doing is scrolling, zooming, and panning, talking my positive findings. So I don't even know too much about the individual PACS systems because we don't need to. The clients love it because we're in their system, and we don't have to do like a big HL7 integration and have weeks of, you know, this, that, and the other thing. So yeah, that's kind of part of our secret sauce is we don't like impose a technology solution on any client. It's a big stumbling block.
Do you guys have like, are your scribe situations like virtual or like, is that like, what's the reading environment? I heard you touch on it in some of your videos. Is it where you have multiple, like I got the standard monitors here in front of me, but you may have several stations, and then is it where the scribes are sitting virtually from my reading station?
Let me just show you. I'm just gonna lift this up. I'm in our training room right now. I'm gonna show you what my reading room looks like. So if you just look this way, so if you look there, you'll see 4 big screens there.
Yeah.
See an ottoman and you see a chair. Okay, so I'm reclining back in like a 0 gravity position, and the scribes are monitoring and doing everything remotely. Nobody's in the room with me.
Oh wow.
And so all they have is 4 rollerball mice. And again, all I'm doing when I touch the mouse, I'm scroll, zoom, and pan, talk my positive findings, and that's it.
Jeez.
And I don't need to turn my chair around. I don't have to go to workstation. It's just, I'm literally very relaxed. I'm in the theater position, and it's just a slight turn of my head left and right. Barely even. Sometimes I don't even turn I can see everything just in one, because I'm sitting farther back too, right? So that helps a lot. So we're going to be doing some more videos where I actually go through how to build this all out, and people can see how we do it. And when you go to this kind of setup, it's such a game changer. It's so much better than, you know, working in the secretarial position, you know, like, which is what a lot of the hospital systems are, right? Like the small monitors, you're sitting at a desk typing and you're dictating like that. Like it's incredibly stressful on your back. So but yeah,
we don't even keep any of the workstations in the reading room. We don't junk it up and clog it up. We make it really comfortable. All wireless transmitters from the workstation to the screens. It's pretty cool.
yeah, we can actually design a complete teleradiology theater room for any radiologist in the country, actually. And we've done it for several, and they never go back to the old way. Like once you start reading off of big screens, you're in a relaxed format, you don't have a keyboard, you don't have a dictaphone, you just have, you know, the mice to the number of workstations you're working at, you'll never go back. Every single radiologist, and we've had, you know, more than 30 radiologists work with us. Every single radiologist, whoever starts with scribes, they never go back to the dictaphone ever. We've even had radiologists that have called off shifts if some of their key scribes couldn't come in for whatever reason. They're like, no, I would rather give up $6,000 of income than work with a dictaphone ever again.
That's funny. It's true.
Yeah, it's true. So we had to actually beg, that happened with one of our radiologists. We had to actually beg a few scribes and pay them some more, and they did it. And the rad made the money, and we were all happy, you know, so. But I'll tell you a quick story also. Maybe 4 years ago, one of our clients, it was July 4th weekend, and they couldn't have their on-site people, and their Telerad company failed, right? For whatever reason, there's some technical issue. And they're like, all right, we need you to, like, can you just please, they were just begging, can you just jump on and do whatever? So I was like, okay, well, it's just one client. I'm home anyway. I'm not going anywhere. All right, I'll cover you guys. It was about 50, 60 cases a night kind of thing. I had no scribe. So let me do this. And this was like 3 years after I'd started working with scribes. I get on there and I'm just like, man, and I'm dictating. I'm like, man, this really sucks. Like, I just hate this. Like, I hate using a dictaphone, going back and forth, like choosing everything, looking for, like, this is such a waste of time. And so I did it for 3 days, and I told the client, never, ever again am I gonna ever do that. So I'll only work with scribes because that's the only way to work. Yeah. Yeah.
It's pretty funny.
Any other questions, guys? Keep the questions coming because this is awesome.
I actually have a question.
Yeah, I forgot who spoke first. Go ahead.
Oh, this is Daisha.
Go, Daisha. Yeah. And then
I was
Charles had a
wondering,
question. Yeah, go ahead.
do you guys let people use your scribes, or like, do you source them out or anything?
Yeah.
You know, it's like, say you don't need the radiologist to help you.
Yeah.
How do they go about getting a scribe?
Yeah, great question. So yeah, we have radiologists using our scribes that actually don't even work for us. So we have a program for that, and we can talk to you. We can talk about that offline, and we'll show you. Like, we'll train you. We'll even show you how to set up the workstations. We have a package for that, essentially, with like all the equipment and like the suggested equipment that we would show, like the workstation I just showed you, and then also the scribes. Like, we provide the scribes and the software that they use that's going to help you to create the report. So the point we want to get you to is you just scroll, zoom, and pan, and you do nothing else on the workstation. They do everything else for you. So yeah, we could definitely arrange a Zoom session with you and go through that in detail and give you all that information and get you going on that.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah.
This is Charles. This has been a really great discussion, as always. Yeah. As always, you're doing something very different and unique from everyone else, and that's always exciting. Yeah. Part of my question was really the hardware question, and you just answered it a moment ago, but you'll give suggestions on what may be needed, and then I would have the chance to build that out a little ahead of time while credentialing and such occurs.
Yeah.
But just for a little preview, I mean, should I plan on one computer per larger monitor in landscape mode, like a little Nook perhaps, and use a 55-inch and split it for new and old, and then multiply times however many sites? Is that the basic idea?
That's kind of the idea. Yeah, I would say start off with 2 workstations and 2 55-inch monitors. You don't have to use 55. That's just what I like to use. You could use 42 or whatever, but I always look at everything one-on-one though. I never do like if I'm looking at a current exam, like I'll look at it one-on-one. Now, if I'm looking at a prior, like a CT chest abpel and a prior CT chest abpel, then I'll have the current on the left and the prior on the right in the same monitor, and I'll do that. But largely, I'm first looking at the current exam, and then I'll go and then I'll make it 2-on-1 and then compare and do it that way. But if you start with 2 workstations and 2 55-inch monitors, that's a good start. You're not going to get the maximum efficiency. I think a great middle ground is 4, and then 6 workstations and 6 monitors. I mean, it's very, very doable. Like, it's not difficult at all. I've taken one of my radiologists who came to me 5 years ago. He started with us, and his annual income was about $270,000 a year. He worked for a big box company, and we have him over $500,000 a year now, and he doesn't read any faster per case. He actually takes more time per case, but because he has scribes working with him and they're all parallel processing, like, the efficiency just went tremendously way up. So, but the answer to your question is, like, yeah, we'll give you like all the equipment recommendations, and we have a whole program and a protocol on how to do that. One thing I will say is you definitely want to devote enough space to this in your home. Like, I talk to way too many radiologists who read from a closet in their home, right? Like, you need to devote enough space to this in your home, like, at least a room that's like 10 by 15, if not bigger, like some dedicated space, not just like a postage stamp size closet, right? You're going to need space for this, and if you get bigger, you're going to need electrician to like really get your workstations and all that. Make sure there's enough wiring that can support all that, because that does become an issue. I had to rewire my teleradiology theater. An electrician came and checked it and all that kind of stuff. So.
Got it. Yeah, thank you for that. Yeah, I recall telling you the story when I had, in the days before LED monitors, and I was overheating my room.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah,
I had to move air from the basement because that was I was in upstate New York, and it was cold and easy and freeze. So that's great. Thank you very much for that. I understand.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. That's great. I see we have a couple more people joined. If you have any questions, please go ahead and ask us. We have 10 more minutes remaining, and then we'll wrap up exactly at 2 p.m. So floor is open for any questions you guys have. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Mayuk. Yeah.
Sorry, I don't want to hog it the whole time.
No, please go ahead.
If do you guys have the ability to support the primary employer as far as a big box person? I didn't know. I didn't hear the beginning, so I wasn't sure if it was only at.
Answer is yes. Yeah. Yeah, we're pretty open source here. Like remember in the old days, Google's motto was don't be evil, and now they're just totally evil, right? So yeah, we will work with whatever you have, like whatever clients you have, whatever, like, our scribes will plug in and make you more efficient. Even if, we're not gaining anything from that. Like, I don't care about that aspect of it. I want every radiologist to gain maximum efficiency. Once you see that efficiency in your own practice and your own teleradiology contracts, we have a lot of great stuff going on, and you're gonna want more work. So that's the bet we're making, is that we're gonna make you so efficient that you're gonna be bored in your current teleradiology contracts right now, and we have work ready to go, and you're gonna want that from us. That's our bet.
Mm-hmm. But what if it's like an employer that has their own, like a VRAD? That's not who it is, but let's just say like that had their own. You work for them. Do you have a process to increase the system within that they're working for them?
There's no reason why not, right? Like, it's the challenge with some of those big box platforms is you're only allowed to log in one place at one time. They're locked into a serial workflow pattern, right? So, and I know all the VRAD people. I used to work for VRAD. I started with Paul Berger at Nighthawk. We got bought out by VRAD, whatnot. And I think they have a way to do that. If you can get 2 workstations, your efficiency is going to go up with scribes, right? Mm-hmm. We have for advanced teleradiology scribe practitioners, meaning teleradiologists who've been with us for years, who've been using scribes, who know how to do this well. Like, they've become so good at it. We've shown them how to use 2 scribes on one workstation to get their efficiency going way up. And there's a methodology to do that. But it takes some learning and some effort and whatnot. But it definitely can be done. I mean, we're not only are we PACS or risk agnostic, we're client agnostic as well. So any workstation, any PACS, any risk, like, our people can manage any and all of it.
Mm-hmm.
So I just want to add something to speak to the one login, one station type of thing. We've even worked for clients before who are said, no, you can only log in one time, even if it's a web-based PACS. One time, you get one login, one session active at a time. And we tell them our system, the way that we work, and then they go behind the scenes with their IT people, and miraculously they come up with another login. Guess what? You can do it. So then we got the same PACS going with 4 different scribes on 4 different stations. And then, I mean, the possibilities are endless and limitless. So they say they can't do it. They can do it. There's always ways to do it, is what we found.
I can't tell you how many times we've busted through IT walls, and it literally comes down to some IT person wants to protect their little fiefdom and doesn't want to really do anything extra. But when you really push them and the CEO's online, like, oh yeah, we have this functionality where you can have transcriptionists in the PACS. They don't call them scribes, but there's transcription logins in a lot of PACS. I don't know about VRAD, but I'm sure there's a way. There's always a way to have multiple logins. And I can kind of see from their perspective why they don't want to do it, because if you're reading from one the assumption is you can only read from one workstation at a time. Like, that's their standing assumption. They don't understand the concept of a radiologist being able to read from multiple workstations at the same time, because in a lot of their workflow, they can't, like, an IT person can't work off of multiple workstations at the same time. And I mean, they're just doing one thing at a time. So that mindset is so ingrained, like serial workflow is so ingrained in the current teleradiology IT landscape that it's a curveball to them. But then once they understand it, I mean, every client that we work with who's had that issue, you know, it takes a few hours or a few days or a few weeks, but once you bust through it, they understand that, oh, this works. This is perfectly fine. This works great. Oh, wow, your people are so productive. Like, had we known this earlier, we would have this so much sooner. It's like, well, we were telling you that like 3 months ago. So it's interesting. I mean, you kind of have to like push and fight for what you want and make that point, because like anybody who is doing something that's non-standard is going to be looked at skepticism to begin with, right? Like when I first started out 7 years ago, none of the hospital IT could understand what I was even talking about. But once I made those first breakthroughs, like, oh, this makes a lot of sense. Wow, the stat list is just clean all the time. How are you guys able to do that? Right. So yeah.
And then they figure out we're a parallel circuit and not a series circuit. So works really well. You got to put it in their terms so they can get it.
Yeah.
I have a KVM switch. Does that play into stuff that you do, or is it usually just different monitors, different towers?
KVMs, we use them all the time. Yeah. So I'll let you in on a little secret. So when I read off of 6 55-inch screens, 6 workstations. And the first year I was doing it like that, I maxed out of that probably at about month 8. And then it was like after I read 6 workstations, I was like twiddling my thumbs waiting. And I'm like, well, what if we had KVM switches on every single one of those screens? And with one button, I could switch all of them to 6 more workstations. We did that. And then I was reading from 12 workstations in parallel at the same time with sometimes 7 to 8 scribes. Some of my scribes got so good, they could manage 2 workstations. So that just like skyrocketed. I mean, it just, you know, like simple cases, like, you know, if there's a complex case, I would just go ahead and dictate the whole thing out and they'd record every word and then they'd listen to what I said and then create my reports, you know, through the macros that I have. So KVM switches, use them all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the interesting thing is before he went to the 6 to 6, so 12, and then eventually 15. But we're like, okay, how do we make this so that he's not twiddling his thumbs? So then we added 2 more monitors and he is like, this is terrible for my neck. I can't do it. I don't want to swivel all this way. I don't want to swivel all this way. I want to stay like this and just go doop, doop, doop. And so then we KVM switched it. So learn by doing. And so
yeah,
we love the KVM.
In my original teleradiology theater, I was like, oh, more monitors is going to be better, right? So we went to 8 monitors. It was a terrible disaster. I was like swiveling too much. I was like, I couldn't keep track of anything. So we just went to, we kept to 6 monitors, KVM switches on all of them, 1 click, and then I got 6 more screens loaded, ready to go. And then I click off that, I had 6 reports ready to sign off. So
and it's super cool because we have a complete system down. So you don't lose track of, am I on switch 1, switch 2, switch 3. So there's a whole roadmap. So the screens are numbered, the stations are numbered, the scribes are assigned to their station. They're always on that station. You always know Jill's on this station, Bill or Bob's on this station. So, and then you know which group is on switch 1, which group's on switch 2. So you know exactly where they always are. So you don't ever lose track. And I got to say, for somebody like Dr. Sami, who is absolutely terrible with names, he even was able to do it really well. He didn't lose track.
They'd have to put their name tags up on the screen so I knew who was on which one. And that's part of our secret sauce. Like it became really efficient. But the other thing the scribes would do is manage all the chats with the clients and the hospitals and whatnot. And so I wouldn't even have to respond to chat messages. Like they're doing all that and they're putting all their, you know, emojis in there and all that. And all the people like me so much, but it was all my scribes that are just being extra nice to all of them, not realizing it wasn't me. So, but all the critical information we get passed through, they'd alert me to stuff, they'd show me the chat. Hey, this is what they're saying, that there's a tech that needs to talk to you about a contrast dose or something like that. And then I'd get on the phone or they'd dial the phone and then make that happen. So But cool. But guys, this has been awesome. I appreciate you guys all for getting on. It's exactly 2:00. We're going to end. And we're going to do this every week at 1 p.m. on Wednesday. And I'm hoping you guys join. And we don't want to just talk about scribes. We want to talk collaborations, efficiencies, anything teleradiology. We didn't even talk about licensing, credentialing, or contracting, or compensation schedule or anything. Like that. There's a lot to talk about in teleradiology. So that's why we're going to do this every week for an hour. And we're going to make this on our YouTube channel as well. And I look forward to doing more of these.
And I put my email address if anybody wants to reach out, send a CV, anything.
Yeah,
you can send me an email.
Yeah, we work full time. I'm in the office pretty much every weekday, like Monday through Thursday, and then half of the day on Friday. So reach out to us. We're available. We talked about some offline meetings and whatnot. Definitely get in touch with us, schedule those meetings, and let's keep the discussion going. Okay.
Thank you.
All right, guys. Thank you
Thank
very
you,
much.
everyone.
Thanks for joining. Okay,
Thank
take care.
you.
Take care. Bye-bye.